All right, number 9 here. It says that Juan can paint a house in 3 hours. Marlene can paint the two houses in 5 hours. How many hours would it take for Juan and Marlene to paint one house if they work together? Round your answer to the nearest 100. All right, so before we took this pretest, as we were going through the benchmark, I said it multiple times. Hey, when you get to a real world problem, there's 2 things you need to do in a real world problem. What were those 2 things?
Don't look at it.
Oh, sure. When we find our answer, we're not going to look at the negative side. Hey, Jenny, you need to look in here. That's the only. There were 2 things you need to do to solve a real world problem. What were they? We need to come up with a formula. Number 1, we need to come up with a formula. So you can look on the formula chart, if possible to find one. But either way, we need to come up with a formula. And then what do we do after we come up with the formula? We insolve it. So formula, insolve. That's what we need to do here. So let's start with a formula. Do we have a formula for this on the formula chart? Do we? No, this is one of the problems that they don't give you a formula for. So where does this formula come from? To solve, well, this is one of those formulas you need to have memorized. It's you might call it a physics formula. It's this, that the speed, the formula is, I hate when it does this. All right, let me undo real quick. Okay. The speed that something occurs is equal to the amount of distance you cover divided by the amount of time. Just think about when you drive a car. If you said 70 miles per hour, what is that telling you? It's the speed. The speed is 70 miles per hour, but it's telling you something. It's telling you the distance divided by time. How many miles would you go? 70 over how much time? An hour. That's what it is. It's miles per hour. That's the same concept here. So for example, Juan, he paints one house in 3 hours. Is one house a speed? Is it the amount of distance or amount painted? Or would it be time? Which of the 3 variables would one house be? The speed, he paints one house, that's a speed. Would it be like the distance, the amount he covered? Or would it be the time? Which one? Distance. So this would be up and above, and you have something below it. 1, okay. It says now 3 hours. Is 3 hours the speed or the time? Time. So that would go down here. Now it just changed to a whole new person. Marlene can paint 2 houses in 5 hours. Okay, so what is 2 houses? The speed, the distance, or the time? Distance. 2 houses, and she does it in 5 hours. How many hours would it take for Juan and Marlene to paint one house if they work together? Okay, so mathematically, if you're working together, what does it mean about my 2 fractions on working together? They're adding. So we add these together. The question is, how many hours? So what is hour? Where does hours need to go? By itself or in the bottom of a fraction? So think about what we're solving for. What are we solving for here? We're looking for, say it louder, please, more than just Eric. We're looking for time. How many hours? That's a time. So that means I'm looking for a time. How many hours would it take Juan and Marlene to paint one house? That would go up there. So that's my formula. So step 1, come up with the formula. There it is. There's my formula. Step 2, insolve. How do you insolve on Desmos? Y equals what's on the left side. I'm going to call this the left. And you do y equals the right. So I want you to type these in. And we'll come back and get our solution, okay? So you're going to do y equals 1/3 plus 2/5. And as a second equation, y equals 1 divided by t. Go ahead and graph those and look for the intersection. Remember, the answer is always the x value. All right, so I have them graphed. As pointed out before, I don't remember who said it, but we said with real worlds, you always take, we always take the positive answer. So this one only has 1, but if you saw more than one answer with real worlds, we take the positive answer. Think about it. Time can't be negative. Can't paint negative houses. You can't paint at a negative speed. None of those three. So real world, you gotta have positive answers. So when you click there, what answer did you get? 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. What did I type in wrong then?
No,
1.364?
yeah.
Oh, okay. I thought you all said 1.0 something. Okay, so 1.364, that would be the answer here. That would be the amount of time. So it says round to your answer the nearest 100. How many zeros are there in 100? 100 has 2 zeros, which means you need 2 decimals. So the time, you need just 2 decimals. Would it be 1.36 or would it be 1.37? 36. 4 is less than 5. So you just cut it off there. 1.36, and this would be in hours. 1.36 hours. Okay, we got our first DOL today. So again, I have another problem for you. The real world, the same general type of problem where you got to come up with an equation first. And then you'll have to, after you find out your formula, you will solve. This one I'm going to tell you right now, it's the same, it's with a fraction, but it's set up differently. So the formula I want you to use here is for averages. You have all these costs. I want you to find the average. So your formula would look like this. If you're finding an average, what was the math you learned? An average is equal to doing what? How do you find the average? You get the total of something and divide it by number of people. All right, so you have DOL number 1. Take a look at this problem.